Joining me now is Congressman Mark Pocan of Wisconsin. The congressman was the first person in a same-sex marriage elected to Congress. Now he is one of several. Progress, my friend. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. We are hearing rumors that Republicans are on board with this. Is that what you're hearing as well?
First, thanks for having me. I don't know. Based on their debate, I couldn't tell what they were for or against. They said this bill wasn't necessary. I would certainly argue with that. I want my husband to be able to visit me if I have to go back to the hospital, and I want to be able to make sure that he gets my earned benefits of Social Security and retirement, etc. But they seem to ignore that, and they wanted to really talk about their traditional talking points on inflation and the border, etc. So they didn't really give us a lot of indication, although some members, Chip Roy, for example, did argue against the law of the land, which is that same-sex couples and interracial couples can be married. And that's what the vote is about today. So we'll see how many ultra-extremists there are in Congress, I guess, in a little bit.
Let me ask you this. When we talk about protecting marriage and we also talk about bolstering protections beyond that, what exactly does that mean? I know you just mentioned you want to make sure your husband can visit you in the hospital if something were to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the benefits that anyone who has as a married couple. I mean, often it's things like retirement benefits, it's hospital visitation. You know, almost 5 years ago, I had open heart surgery. I had a triple bypass. My heart was literally taken outside of my body. I'm glad that my husband was there for me and that he was able to visit me. But for someone to want to take that away, that's a pretty sick position. And I think very out of the mainstream of where the American people are at. So, the idea that Clarence Thomas said the Supreme Court should look at that. Look, now that we know we have an extremist-packed Supreme Court that's turning over law that's been nearly a half century when it comes to something like Roe, I think everything is at risk, especially when Clarence Thomas wrote it in the decision. It's something that we have to be aware of, and that's why House Democrats put this bill on the floor today.
It is a conservative Supreme Court. Part of the knock on Congress before this was, listen, you had many years to codify abortion into federal law, many, many years. And there seemed to be this feeling among lawmakers, maybe among a lot of Americans, that once the Supreme Court ruled on it initially, that's the way it would always be, that it would never come to a place where it was overturned by the Supreme Court. So going and looking at same-sex marriage, looking at contraception, is that going to be the new way forward for lawmakers, for Democrats to say, we don't want to even let this get to the Supreme Court. We're going to make sure we're going to codify all of these basic protections?
Well, we may have to, unfortunately. Like you said, unfortunately, this is an extremist-packed Supreme Court. The conservatives packed it.
Well,
they've
I didn't
talked
say
about
it was
this
an
for decades.
extremist-packed. I said it was a conservative court, just to be clear.
No, those are my words. I'm
okay.
sorry. Those are my words about the extremist pact. The thing is, now that we know that they're willing to take these actions, they've worked for decades to get to the point to be able to do this. And now that we know they'll take these actions, and Clarence Thomas will put these in writing, and we have members of the House and Senate who are now saying they disagree with that decision, you're literally going to take away from 500,000 Americans who are married in a same-sex couple their rights as a married couple. I think we have to do things like this and contraception and other issues because it's gotten so weird around here. I mean, Washington is a weird town, right? We do a lot of crazy things, and these days the Republican Party acts more like a cult than a political party, and because of that, we have to do things that might seem like no-brainers and common sense now have to be put into law in order to protect people.
Congressman Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, thank you very much for being with us, sir. We appreciate it.